I mean, the one thing that you built it was in a movie or a TV show, and you're most proud of it.
Okay, this is a hard one because you're talking 22 years. Working on the Guyver with Steve Lang, and there's this object in the film called the Guyver unit. And Steve was right in the middle of doing all the suits and the creatures, and that was more kind of like a prop thing. So he turned to me and said, "Hey Ted, will you do the Guyver unit?" I'm like, "Wow, just run with it. You're in charge of the Guyver unit. I said, "Okay." So I made this unit, and Steve was sculpting the suit. It was kind of this organic. He took the Guyver and kind of made it this more like alien organic armor, which is based on the Japanese animation thing. So I saw Steve's armor, so I based my unit off of his suit because the Guyver unit turns the guy into the suit. So I matched pretty much what Steve was doing for the suit. So I'm making it, and I build it, and I finish it and show it to him, and he signs off on it. We're doing. I go and mold it. I'm casting and making these ones, and he says, "Oh, hey, there's a scene where the guy turns to the Guyver. I want it to stick to his head, and then I want the control metal to sink into his head, and I want the panels to open up and tentacles shoot out."
Okay.
And exactly your reaction was mine, like this. 23, Los Angeles.
Right.
That was my second, third show I'm on.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, though, I love the challenge. I was kind of like, okay, all right, sure. So then I started brain racking, like, okay, I want this, and he wants this, and he wants that. And it was so low tech, but it actually worked. I ended up we'll show images of this. It's the Guyver unit, and then I had 3 panels on it, and he wanted them to open up. So I rigged it. I had hinges, and went to a model airplane store, and they had these little small hinges, which you could probably get them at Home Depot. But as a kid at the time, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I went to this model kit store and bought these little plastic hinges for the panels, and I rigged up cables before they could open and close them. And I realized that the control metal sink into his head. I had it on a post on a ball, and I would just operate from below. And I realized that this thing's all happening in this actor's head. So I couldn't use the actor because I had no place to work. So I needed a life cast of the actor's head. So we had, and luckily there was we're working so fast. I'm working at Screaming Mad George's shop. He had a live cast of a man with his mouth open. And I'm like, so he ran a skin for me, and I made a fiberglass skull with teeth and everything in it. We put the skin over that, and it was from a previous show he already had, so that work was done. So he didn't have to cast the actor. So we had a pre-existing head.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I didn't have to use the actual actor.
Interesting.
We realized because it's obstructing so much of his face.
Gotcha.
Things on his face, you don't see the actor's face. You can see his mouth. That's all I need. So they ran the skin. I made it, and so he was able to have a hollow head. I ran the control metal inside the head, had a big tube. And then it finally hit me, do it in reverse. Do everything in reverse. So, because my big instruction was tentacles shooting everywhere. Tentacles shooting everywhere. And I finally realized I just made a bunch of rubber tentacles. And strands of them, and I put them in, just bunch them all together. And they were really long, and I kind of rubbed them down with KY. I made them all wet and glistening. And we pushed them, and I basically had to pump it down on the floor. We had a board with a hole in it, and we dressed it to look like the alley. And I had it all laid up, and I had all the silicone rubber tentacles all out with goo all over it. And they called action. I would pull all the tentacles, they would go into the hole, and then I would pull the string, and the panels would shut, and then I had a little orb, and I would push the orb to the surface. And I realized my biggest dilemma was the orb and the tentacles had to be in the same tube. So I cut a hole in the side of the tube where the orb was, and I kept it at the bottom, and I had a handle on the side for the tentacles. So I had all the tentacles, and I pulled them out sideways, and I laughed because it was just me underneath this board. They'd call action. I would pull, and then pull the cables, and I'd close the thing shut, and when you watch it, it's super fast, and it's all done in reverse. It's
Interesting.
Quick gag. That was my
very nice
first proud. Like that was not only my design, but my key effect. I was a key on that show, and that was my effect. So I did that gag.